Hello, Sally Henderson, high stakes leadership mentor and creator of The Real Method. Sharing a 8-part practical leadership series specifically for those leaders stepping into CEO for the very first time. I'm a great believer we're better together, and this series is to gift tools from my leadership program, The Real Method, to support people going through that change. So what's my first tip? And I've put them on post-it notes because I could talk forever about this subject and I want to keep this as concise as possible. My first tip for a senior successful leader going into CEO for the very first time is to embrace a superpower that this gives you: being new. Now, interestingly, often what happens is leaders in that CEO role want to push through that new feeling as fast as possible because it's uncomfortable, isn't it? Going from being the expert in one scenario to being completely new in a first-time scenario can feel scary, can be stressful, and is a lot to manage, no matter how successful you are or have been to this point, because it's a first-time experience. Embrace it. You don't feed your imposter syndrome, okay? Fear being new, your imposter syndrome has a happy day. Embrace being new and actively acknowledge and welcome it. Permission to be curious, permission to not know the answer, and permission to ask for lots and lots of help, which people will be very willing to give you. Second point, plan your internal onboarding. By this, I don't mean your official onboarding. I mean, crikey, a lot of people don't even get an official onboarding. Even in the role of CEO, you'd be surprised. However, you can take control for how you're internally going to onboard into this new position, this new organization. Even if you're being promoted from within, it's still going to be in a new way. So just ask yourself, have you even thought about how do I want to feel at the end of day 1? How is that different to how I want to feel at the end of day 2, week 1, week 2, month 1, month 2, month 3? You get the idea. When you plan your internal onboarding, you're taking greater control around, are you actually having those experiences and those feelings as you anticipated? And is your immersion into being a CEO for the first time actually heading in the right direction? Because if not, you can course correct quickly. But by welcoming, exploring that, onboarding in your own mind, not just practically, very, very powerful for helping you to enjoy the adventure much more. Building on the theme of feelings and emotions, which I believe get overlooked far too often at senior leadership level, a great way of setting yourself up for success in this first-time CEO role is to actively audit your emotions and get curious about what they even are. For example, I was talking to a first-time CEO the day before they were about to step into the role officially, a very high-profile role, one which they'd never done before. And I asked them to tell me the 3 to 5 words that best described their feelings going into this new experience. The overriding sort of biggest feeling they shared, very honestly, was that actually they felt very anxious. And let's remember, this is a very senior, very accomplished person. Yet they even felt anxious. I said, well, how's that going to impact you, A, the night before, but B, on your first day, if anxious is this dominant feeling you're taking in? And they said, well, I'm not going to sleep very well, and I'm going to feel anxious tomorrow, and then people are going to feel that I'm anxious, so that's going to make everything more anxious. I said, absolutely. I said, what's your word for replacing anxious? And they said excited. So imagine if you take that as your strongest feeling, rather than the same physicalities that make you feel anxious, just reprogram that to think, do you know what? This is exciting what I'm doing. I've achieved something great. How are you going to feel on your first day? Well, this person said, I'm going to feel much more excited. And how are other people going to pick up on your energy? Well, much more positively. How are you going to sleep tonight? Better. Because they were going to be much more relaxed about how they were going to experience their first day. That would never have happened if we hadn't just paused to audit their true emotions and make sure we were consciously creating ones that were helpful, not hindering. Point 4. There's a tool I use a lot, which I created, called the 3 bullets. And it's a very simple and effective way of focusing on outcome. How do you, as that first-time CEO, want core stakeholders, core audiences to walk away thinking and feeling about you? If you just write them down in advance, look at them or write them a lot or read them out, your learning style preference, you're actually programming your subconscious mind on outcome. And therefore, your subconscious mind is going to be more relaxed and much more likely to deliver that outcome. What you may decide to do is say, actually, I want 2 core outcomes across the board, but for specific target groups, i.e. perhaps my COO or my senior leadership team, or certain geographies across the globe, or the clients or the external stakeholders, the market. How do you want those core groups to come away thinking and feeling about you? Write down 3 bullets, perhaps 2 for the entire audience, and then 1 specifically against each of those subgroups. When I see my clients use the 3 bullets, the difference is wonderful. Because again, they just relax and they feel so much more in control of how their leadership is going to work and deliver under their own watch. Final point, leave your ego at the door. We all have an ego. We all want to fuel it and feed it. However, if your ego is looking for validation in that first role as CEO, it's going to have a tough time because that validation has got to come from within. How to stop your ego feeding your imposter syndrome and actually fueling you healthily instead is to become much more aware of your leadership levers, as I call them. Now, some levers will be new for the first time in CEO role. Some will be the same, but really importantly, some will have to stop being used because those leadership levers that supported you in the past could be the very same ones that will now block your progress as easily now you're at the level of seniority as CEO. But do you even know what your leadership levers are? The style, the beliefs, the impact you want to have that best suit the unique role of CEO that you're inhabiting now for the very first time. So, quick recap. Actively embrace being new. That is your superpower. It's finite and you only get to do it once, so enjoy it. You've earned it. Number 2, plan your internal onboarding. How's your brain and your emotions going to cope going through that process of being new? Audit your real emotions. Write 3 to 5 down. Are they positive? Do they help you? Do they hinder you? Which ones would you actively want to take with you? And then look at how you can make that real. A coach or a mentor is a great way of doing that, by the way. Use the 3 bullets. Design the outcome you want to have with core stakeholder groups. Write them down, make them simple, make them something you authentically believe in, and then just go out and enjoy delivering those. It will transform how you show up as a leader with that confidence of outcome. Again, it sounds really obvious what I'm sharing with you, but trust me, when the gremlins are left to run amok, they really do. And finally, leave your ego at the door. Don't feed it unhealthily. Feed it in a positive way that doesn't fuel imposter syndrome by using the right leadership levers of a stop, start, and do something differently. So I hope that whistle-stop tour, particularly for people in leadership roles for the first time around your superpower of being new, can help you. If you have any questions or I can help you more, please get in touch. These sessions are designed to support, and please join me for the next leadership chapter in this series, which will all be about the forgotten ceremony that will transform your performance in the role of CEO for the very first time. Thank you very much. Sally Henderson. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.